I think I'm a huge overall He-Man fan. A little funky.
Somebody that sort of breaks the mold of what a fan is.
It's something I love. It's something I'm passionate about.
He feels like if he doesn't save them, they're just going to get destroyed.
I enjoy collecting it, and it's something I wouldn't give up for the world.
I mean, he's a guy that has this immense collection that surpasses most any that you would see in the world for He-Man, but at the same time, he's a regular guy and you would have no idea unless you went to his house.
Hi, I'm Josh Van Pelt. I'm from Jackson, New Jersey, and I'm a huge He-Man fan.
This is the be-all and end-all for me. This is my girl.
Anything that has to do with He-Man or She-Ra or any of those things, he's very interested in.
I really love the woman power aspect of the property. You know, she's just a strong female. She's equal with He-Man. She's sci-fi. She's Barbie. She's, you know, fantasy, Masters of the Universe.
I think he's really sweet, really outgoing person, and I think it's wonderful that he loves He-Man and She-Ra so much.
Hi, I'm Topher Hance from Midlothian, Virginia, and I am the biggest She-Ra fan in the world.
He-Man was a cartoon that ran from 1983 to 1985. It followed the battles between He-Man and Skeletor on the planet Eternia. It was a cartoon series that drove home the message of good versus evil. Most storylines featured Skeletor trying to take over the planet Eternia. And this was either done through just taking over the Royal Castle, the Royal Palace, or actually taking over Castle Grayskull, which was the home of the Sorceress, who aided He-Man and gave He-Man his powers. There was a power sword, which He-Man had control over, which he used in almost every episode to foil Skeletor's plans.
She-Ra first aired in 1985. It was a spin-off of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. She-Ra was better known as Princess Adora, and when she held aloft her magical sword and said, "For the honor of Grayskull, I am She-Ra," she became She-Ra, and she also transformed her horse Spirit into Swiftwind. She-Ra protected the Crystal Castle from a variety of different villains, but her main nemesis was Hordak and his evil horde. And He-Man was her brother, not her boyfriend.
Archiving He-Man history means so much to me because He-Man meant so much to me as a child. And I'm sure it meant so much to millions of kids, not just in the US, but worldwide. As a child, I was a huge fan of He-Man. It was the #1 cartoon for me. It was the #1 toy for me. It was the #1 cartoon and toy to play with at the same time. Playing with the figures while you watched the cartoon was one of the big appeals for me. That you could actually see the characters on there and actually take the story that you saw even a bit further because you actually had the toys in your hand.
Yeah, so I got a couple more figures to show you.
I am strongly influenced by both of my parents, but mainly my father. He was a collector since childhood. He collected everything from the arrowheads he found to monster cards to monster toys. He collected everything. He's 50 now and he is collecting more than he's ever collected. My father has taught me a lot about collecting. He's also taught me that collecting is not a race. There is no end game. The collecting part, the hunt for the great item, is actually the thrill.
Where are these from? I've been buying them to stock up on them.
I've been a She-Ra fan since I was a kid, about 10 years old. She-Ra was viewed by a lot of parents as a doll series and not an action figure series. And when I was younger, I wanted to play with dolls. I wanted to play with action figures too. I love sci-fi things. I had lots of, Star Wars and G.I. Joe and stuff, but, I wanted She-Ra because she was pretty and she was girly and she was basically a doll, but she was also an action figure. And she was kind of a combination of the best of two worlds. She sort of influenced the way that I look at things now in my life as a gay man, is that I like to have the best of both worlds. I like to, live in the straight world and be friends with a lot of straight people, but I also like to have pride in being gay. And not flaunting it necessarily, but definitely not ashamed of it.
My son is the light of my life.
My mom, I think, is definitely supportive of my fandom, just in the sense that she's accepting of it. Because, it is kind of super gay to be into collecting dolls.
as a parent, it's a little hard to understand his interests because people think, oh, he still likes toys. There must be something wrong with him, kind of thing. But I see all of the good that has come out of it. That he's been really creative and fun and just a better person for it.
This is my family room. When I'm watching TV, I really like to look at my He-Man stuff, including my favorite store display. It's a light-up toy display that actually incorporated some of the original figures. Another item that I really like, it's a light-up display. It's really great. As a child, I was a huge fan of He-Man. It waned a little bit in my teen years, I think, as it does with most people. Then again, I met my wife while we were still in high school. She bought me my first He-Man item, and from there my fandom exploded.
Josh has always collected things, but when it came to He-Man, he really just latched onto it for some reason. He really wanted to find everything that was out there.
This is the first He-Man collectible that I bought as a collector. And this is the collectible that actually started me on my journey of collecting everything you see here today. At first I was just regaining my childhood collection. As I got a little bit deeper into it, I realized that there's a whole world out there of He-Man things to collect.
He-Man's very nostalgic for him, and I think it wouldn't be as important to him if I hadn't watched it as well, and we remembered some of the same episodes, had played with some of the same toys.
These are our new sheets. I got these for you.
I think it was something that we sort of found together, and so then we sort of continued it together, and it just had a little bit more special place because of that.
Collecting He-Man has become the common bond between my wife and I. It's something that we do daily together, and it's something that we'll always have together.
I bought that for you.
Okay, thank you. It's a birthday present. I've been collecting for 10 years, and if I said I spent $20,000 a year, that would add up to $200,000. That's probably a high estimate, but it would not be unreasonable. This being my office, I do have some reference material that I always need handy. This includes Mattel catalogs. These were sent to retailers so they could see what was available that year. Wasn't fortunate enough to own one of these when I was a child, but fortunately I found one of these over the years. Now own 4. It's just a classic item you could ride.
I definitely support Josh 100%. I egg him on. I'm probably an instigator. If he's wishy-washy about buying something, I'm like, oh, get it, why not? As long as you have the room. And it's not really a time or a money thing, it's more of a space thing.
I am definitely running out of room in my house. Right now it takes up 2 bays of the garage, an office, and an additional bedroom. And everything is boxed, neatly, tightly boxed. There is no more room. In these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of boxes, probably about 80% of my collection, plus the closet. I've tried to keep it as clear as possible because often I do have to get in here for cataloging purposes. Collecting for me has become my lifestyle. There is no Josh Van Pelt without the He-Man collection.
I guess probably at least a good 3 or 4 hours every day of my life is sort of spent just talking, thinking, or reading about She-Ra. I'm part of a podcast that features She-Ra and He-Man characters called Powers of Paternia. With the He-Man.org message boards, I do a lot of posting on there.
It's given him a wider cultural group of friends to interact with than he normally would. I think than he would have had in any other case.
It was really great to find a community of other He-Man and She-Ra fans, just because there are people that love it as much as I do. This is my friend Andrew Bowers. I met him on the He-Man.org boards locally, and my other friend is Kristen Butler, and I met her through work, and then we found out together that we had a love of She-Ra. The He-Man and She-Ra drama that I'm involved in focuses on what's called the Powers of Paternia, which was a line by Mattel that was a spin-off of He-Man and She-Ra, and it was a prototype series that was never released. So what my good friend Eric Donaldson, who's the writer, director, and producer of the show, has done is kind of explored what Mattel and Filmation would have done if they had gone through with the prototype series. And so what I do is I do a lot of voice acting work with him.
Neither of you are his type, trust me.
I actually was having a lot of fun when we were recording earlier.
We'll handle it. Wouldn't want the little wizards to break any nails.
Yeah, see, that was good. I really enjoyed doing that. And I would like to do it with them again. I have faith in these people. They don't have faith in themselves.
No faith in
That's what the problem is.
I got a call one day from Roger Sweet, one of the preliminary designers of He-Man at Mattel, and he introduced himself. Hi, I'm Roger Sweet. You may have heard of me. I have a book, Mastering the Universe, which obviously I knew who he was. And I believe we hit it off right away. He said, I have an amazing He-Man collection that I would like you to see. He had over 300 pieces of artwork, paintings, prints, photographs, and it just blew my mind. I mean, this was the holy grail of He-Man collecting. This is beyond anything I could have wished for because he's preserved all this for 25 years. He appreciated that I wanted to preserve it, and since it was something he worked so hard on, he really wanted to give it to someone who would appreciate it.
Well, welcome to my room. This is my She-Ra and Masters of the Universe collection, She-Ra Princess of Power. This is my collection of the DVD sets. It makes a diorama of Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain. And I just think that's the coolest thing ever because I haven't seen that with any other box set, like even Star Wars and stuff like that. You don't see that in other box sets. And this is actually my She-Ra pillow, who I sleep next to every night. Right up here on the wall is actual cartoon cell from the Princess of Power series. And I love this cartoon cell. This is my Barbie as She-Ra set that I did. The first one, of course, would be She-Ra. And this is all hand sewn, the cape, which has the kind of same look of the original She-Ra action figure / doll. And then, looks like she had an incident. Oh well. And then this is the doll that I made of the cartoon, whereas the action figure has kind of got silver and pink instead of purple and light blue. This is Frosta. She's actually my favorite of the ones that I made. With Glimmer a close second, but I really am very pleased with this one. This is my pride and joy of my She-Ra Princess of Power collection. And this one is Natasha. She is one of my favorite characters. I really like the color scheme on her. But on top of that, I'm sort of drawn to African American and minority characters because of my studies in women's studies and African American studies. She's extremely rare on eBay. I recently saw one with not even all the accessories, but most of them go for close to $1,500 for a doll. I reroute the doll's hair on a lot of these, and that's not easy. And this is where people are going to think I'm a loser, but that is literally taking a thread and hair, putting it through the eye of the needle, and threading it through the head one at a time. It's just something that I do to kind of escape or wind down from a stressful day at work. This is all completely painted, sewn, glued, molded by me. I just kind of made a character with blue skin, and then as you can see, kind of looks like me in the face. I've had comparison pictures online, and his a little bit on the tubby side like me. Down here is my bust collection, which were also sculpted by the Four Horsemen. Up here is my mint on card collection. I am not, as you can tell from most of my collection, a big mint on card collectible type guy. I release the dolls and the figures from their plastic prisons gladly because they're toys and they're meant to be played with, not collect dust on the wall. However, if I get a really good deal, as I did on these, I do keep them mint on card because I already have them. These were She-Ra's enemies, the Horde, and then this Hordak is one of the original figures, but I repainted him to match the Filmation colors. This is Adora. She's based on the Filmation Adora. This is the original Sweet Bee, and this is my custom Sweet Bee. And as you can see, there's not a big difference between the two. However, the original Sweet Bee, her head only goes back and forth. Well, I wanted a swivel-headed Sweet Bee. Basically, I just repainted the Catra, the breasts and, this part, basically, from the waist up and not the arms of the Catra, and put it on Sweet Bee and made it so that Sweet Bee's head swivels. I will take her any way I can get her. I won't care as long as I've got She-Ra and the names on it. Today at the library, I'm being allowed to hold an exhibit that's going to feature some of my comic books from the old and new versions of He-Man. I'll also be working on some customs and allowing people to ask me questions about my custom work, why I do it, and what I enjoy about it.
What I use is this stuff called Sculpey, and it's kind of like clay, basically, and you can mold it onto the figure.
The customizing exhibit is really important to me because not only will it spread a little bit of information about He-Man and She-Ra to younger generations and older generations, but also because folks can kind of get a better idea about what I do with my customizing.
If I bring you my old He-Man action figures, can you redo them?
I sure can.
I really am glad that people appreciate my work. I try to be a little bit modest here, but I do think I have a reputation for being one of the top-notch customizers on the boards. I know that people come to me for commissions, and that to me says, you know, they appreciate my work. But I definitely don't think that I'm anywhere near on par with the folks who actually do the job of creating action figures.
Thanks for coming, guys. Yeah, feel free to pick them up. I'm not real fussy about it, so.
Okay, guys, come on in. Well, this is the molding and casting area.
These guys are amazing.
Okay, we're gonna-
They sculpt super high detail and in a super large scale that later gets shrunk down for production pieces. And they truly get the idea of He-Man. They're not trying to recreate He-Man, they're trying to revamp it, and they sort of celebrate the best parts of He-Man and make it for today's market.
We're going to pour a mold of He-Man's head, which is in this mold right here, and this is the hair piece for him.
Actually visiting somewhere where a He-Man product is made is unbelievable. To actually know that the Four Horsemen are going to share their studio, show their prototypes, show the actual molds that were used to make He-Man products is a great experience.
Now we pressurize it.
It was fun sharing the collection. It was fun just meeting, hanging out with the guys.
And now we have about 10 minutes. We can hang out and drink coffee and read magazines.
I think he's enjoying it. It's one thing to like look at the work and be into it, but then when you see the process that goes into it, how things are made, I think anybody has an interest. It's like watching a cooking show or something.
Hidey faces.
Ooh.
The highlight of today's gathering was opening the mold and seeing He-Man staring back at you. Was something that I can always picture. It'll stay with me forever.
Guys, no one leaves the Four Horsemen empty-handed. Owen?
Oh,
Gonna got
oh,
signed.
sweet!
We all signed it,
Thank you very much.
and we have an official Four Horsemen pin.
That's
And
great.
From now on, you're an official Four Horsemen.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll wear it proudly.
I think my life would be pretty dull without She-Ra. Every day I'm working on a custom. Every day I have a new idea for a character. Most of all, I'm looking forward to years from now, still reminiscing about She-Ra with all the great friends that I've made on the online message boards. It'll kind of be like looking back on a second childhood, I think. And I'm really interested to see where it goes.
I can't imagine a life without He-Man. It was a part of my childhood. It's been a part of my dating experience with my wife. It's part of our daily lives between us. It's something that we do together. And I think it's something that brings my wife and I together. So I don't even want to imagine a life without He-Man.